Let's take a few minutes to review some things from our last session before we dive into equity-oriented language and critical reflections, so that we understand again why we're here and why this work is so important in Wisconsin. Looking at the slide, we can see that historically marginalized populations of students are underrepresented, in having a teacher of color, more specifically a teacher of their own race. In Wisconsin, the majority of teaching staff continue to be white educators, making up 95% of the population, and more specifically, females, when we segregate that information a little bit further. So why does diversity matter in education? There's a large body of research that demonstrates the important educational benefits of cognitive, social, and emotional for all students who interact with classmates of different backgrounds, cultures, and orientations in the world. In addition, for students of color, having a teacher of the same race or ethnicity may increase test scores and reduce the likelihood of disciplinary issues. Students of color also benefit from higher teacher expectations from seeing members of their own race as role models in those positions of authority. Further, research has shown that when a school prioritizes diversity and strives to create authentic cultural change, the quality of both teaching and learning improves, which is going to benefit everyone. In Wisconsin, the majority of teaching staff continues to be white educators. And like I said, 95% of the population are white educators. If we break this down a little bit further in Wisconsin, looking at the American Indian population, we have one educator to every 4 students. We have in the Asian population, 1 educators to every 5 students. In the Black population, we have 1 educator to every 6 students. Hispanic, 1 educator to every 6 students. White population, we have 1.5 educators for every 1 student. And when we look at 2 or more races, we have 1 educator to every 17 students. So as you can see, the likelihood of having a teacher of your same race for a student of color is much lower than a white student having an educator of their race. So here's what we know. We know that students with disabilities are at risk of an economic disadvantage. They're at a higher risk of dropping out of high school. They're not graduating at the same rate as their peers, and they're at a risk of poor health, both physically and mentally. When we break this down and look at students of color with disabilities, more often students of color are identified as having a disability. They're far more likely to drop out of high school. They receive out-of-school suspensions at a higher rate than their same-age peers. They have a lower rate of education in school and beyond high school. And they're at a 2 times higher rate of poverty. Looking at African American populations with disabilities, they live in poverty at 40%, and then more than half of African Americans with disabilities have been arrested by the age of 28. So by the time they are 28, more than half have been arrested. We need to change some of those things. We also know that Wisconsin has the largest gap between white and Black graduates, and this continues to be a national concern as well. Here in Wisconsin, we're at a 19.6% discrepancy rate. We as a state have a lot of work to do, and we are very thankful that all of you are joining us today and throughout this series to ensure that every child has access to a quality education and transition plan and to be successful every day.